Shares of Google hit an all-time high, and while some investors focus on the stock, others are focused on the CEO. Details next. Investor Beat starts now. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Hill. An up and down day on Wall Street, the Dow Index trying to make sense of mixed news. Homebuilder confidence rose to its highest level in 5 years, while the Eurozone reported another drop in GDP. Joining me in studio today, Jason Moser and Matt Argersinger. Guys, our top story, Google CEO Larry Page disclosed he's been diagnosed with vocal cord paralysis. While the condition has weakened his voice, Page says it does not affect the day-to-day management of the company for him. Jason, I ask you, how big a concern is this?
Well, I think that at least it's a concern today because we have to wonder what are the implications of this. Is this something that maybe is leading to something else down the road? And it really just brings back to question how much we consider leadership when we look at the companies in which we invest. And with Google, I would argue that most of us give leadership a pretty high grade in a big consideration. And so when Larry Page comes out with something like this, I'm glad that he says it's okay, it's not affecting his work life, but by the same token, we have to at least wonder, are there not some longer term ramifications here? We certainly need to keep our eye on it.
This overshadowed the other news from Google today, which is the new music streaming service that they're rolling out for $10 a month. How concerned are you if you're Spotify or Pandora or, for that matter, SiriusXM?
I think if you're concerned, you should be concerned about being acquired, because I think that's what Google's probably going to do here. You know, in the past, they've tried to roll out new products and new initiatives to try to compete with established platforms, and most of the time, actually, they don't work out. And Google got billions of cash. I feel like a Spotify or a Pandora could certainly be in their target.
That's a nice, card to have in your hip pocket, isn't it? It's like,
Sure.
Well, if this doesn't work, we'll just throw a bunch of money at it and we'll buy someone.
Right.
The stock hitting an all-time high today. It's over $900 a share. What do you think of it? Is it still a good value? Is it a little frothy?
I love the company. I love what they do. It is a little bit frothy today. I think a lot of the money that has left Apple has gone to Google. I can't help but think maybe the tide's going to go out here in a little bit and Google will at least come down. I would encourage shareholders or prospective shareholders to at least hang in there and wait a little bit. Be patient.
All right, let's get to some of the day's movers and shakers. Shares of Macy's hitting an all-time high after first quarter profit rose 20%, with same-store sales up nearly 4%. What do you think, Jason? You like the stock?
Yeah, there are retailers and then there are retailers, Chris. And I think Macy's is the latter there. They are really doing a great job. Not only are they maintaining their store base, but they're really doing a great job selling. And you look at the gross margin line, they maintain flat gross margins while input costs were up over 4%, which tells us they maintained a little bit of pricing power there. And now that they're able to up the dividend, they're buying back shares. And when we look back over history, the share count's down about 9% over the last 5 years, which tells me these are good share buybacks. So I like the company, and at 15 times earnings today, it's not cheap, but hey, it's certainly worth a look.
Zynga up after hedge fund Jana Partners bought more than 3% of the online gaming company, which probably gets you a lot of land on Farmville. I can't believe I'm saying this. Zynga is up more than 40% year to date. What do you think of this stock?
Well, someone's buying it, which is good news, I guess, because it really, since its IPO, I still think it's down roughly 60%. I'm not a big fan of Zynga. I think if you look at it, they're still so dependent on Facebook, and if you look at it, their exposure there is going down. New games have kind of flopped. If you're looking to invest in video games, I'd go with the best of the best, which is Activision Blizzard.
SunPower hitting a new 52-week high after raising guidance for the year. The company said revenue could be high enough to make its first annual profit since 2010. Do you buy on that basis alone?
Well, I give them a round of applause for being profitable, but it kind of takes me back to my childhood when I told my mom that I went and cleaned up my room. I mean, it's just what she expected of me, right, Chris? I mean,
Yeah.
The companies I invest in, I expect profits. So that's great, but let me tell you, the solar game is really tough. There are a lot of players in there. And while they do have sort of the backing there of a Berkshire Hathaway customer, it's still a small company with a notable amount of debt on the balance sheets. I steer clear of solar altogether.
And finally, shares of Deere falling one day after second quarter earnings. Profits came in higher than expected, but the company cut sales growth guidance for 2013. And yet another example where guidance trumps actual results.
Right. This is a big farm and construction equipment maker. They're blaming the weather for the farming miss. But you know what? The interesting thing was that construction, they were guiding for 5% growth this year, and now they've ratcheted that down to negative growth of 3%. That's a bit of a surprise to me. We've seen a lot of kind of strength in the construction business, so I think the sell-off is justified today.
Isn't there a natural partnership between Deere and Farmville and Zynga? Can't they get together on that
Maybe
one?
Deere should buy Zynga. Yeah.
There were worse ideas, I'm sure. All right, that's going to do it for Wednesday. Let's look ahead to the rest of the week. Jason, what's a stock you've got on your radar?
Big retail bellwether Walmart will be reporting earnings. And while I think Walmart is just a phenomenal company, it's just done so much over the years, I tend to look back at the bigger picture here of where retail is headed. Now, I tend to look at Amazon, and just to put it into perspective, when you look at Walmart's sales over the last 5 years, they've grown sales at about a compound annual growth rate of 5% over the last 5 years. Amazon, about 28%. So you can kind of see where this is going here. So while Walmart's a good income investor play, I still like the online, the e-commerce plays like Amazon, but I'll be interested to see how Walmart's doing.
All right, Matt, what about you?
Another retail bellwether, JCPenney. They've had so much trouble. It's too early to tell whether Myron Ullman's return has done anything to right the ship there and kind of, make up for the tumultuous tenure, I guess, of Ron Johnson. But, the comps are going to start looking really good for JCPenney. If they can right the ship even a little bit, the numbers are going to look pretty good the next few quarters. JCPenney might pop on those news.
All right, for Jason Moser and Matt Argersinger, I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
People on the show may have interests in the stocks they talk about, and The Motley Fool may have formal recommendations for or against. Don't buy or sell stocks based solely on what you hear.